everyone. We have with us Mr. Shrikant Shritole, CEO, iValue Infosolutions. Shrikant brings over 3 decades of experience in the IT industry and a significant exposure in handling multiple global companies. Before joining iValue Infosolutions, Shrikant worked as the Vice President for the APAC region for Fire Eye Technologies and before being the country head for the India region. So today, Shrikant will help us dig deeper into the app modernization landscape in India. So without further ado, let's get into a quick chat with Mr. Shrikant. So Shrikant, a very warm welcome to you. And first up, we'd like to know, can you shed more light on the growing importance of app modernization?
Yeah, sure. I think app modernization, if you look at, I can start with the examples and perhaps then I can get into subject in a slightly different way. So app modernization means whatever applications you're using, as the time progresses, you'll have to keep modernizing the applications, both for the business productivity perspective as well as manageability perspective. So if you look at now, for example, core banking applications, now they are undergoing a lot of changes because of the digital banking scenarios, which we see right now in the market. So that's where the app modernization is. And if you look at from the size of the market today, I would say you can peg it between 20 to 25 billion dollars by 2030. So that's where the growth is. And it's not about just app modernization, but it also has a lot of impact on the rest of the infrastructure because of this modernization piece of it.
All right. So, what are some of the challenges that, you can see in the app modernization market today? What can you count some?
So I think, so if you look at most of the earlier applications were more or less fixed applications, you cannot really tweak them or fine tune them based as the time progresses, or if you want to add some of the other elements of the feature functionality was very difficult from the earlier applications perspective. In the app modernization, what you're essentially achieving is that you're trying to break that entire monolith, okay, into small pieces, and they're called microservices essentially. It becomes very easy to then launch these new microservices as you go along. As the market changes, you can keep adding, subtracting, add moves changes, all those things you can achieve. That's number one. Number two, I think from the application lifecycle management point of view, it gives you that more longevity, understanding, scalability, availability, and all those kind of aspects. The third aspect which becomes very important is the same application. If you want to now integrate with any other application or any other areas, that additional ease out, is something which comes as part of the application modernization. These are some of the 2 or 3 or 4 areas which easily come handy when you're looking at the application modernization piece of it.
Right, right. So if I were to ask you, what are some of your predictions for the app modernization market, specifically for India market? So could you cite a few of them?
See, if you look at classically any application which is there in the market, it is meant for the business productivity enhancement, or it is meant for reducing your cost, or third, it could be giving the leverage in terms of go to market launch kind of a thing. So when you look at these 3 aspects, I think leveraging app modernization for these 3 aspects is becoming key. Now you can look at B2B areas, you can look at B2C areas, you can look at government to business, or you can look at government to consumer as well. A simple live example could be, income tax department, for example. Income tax department, if you recall, a decade back or more than a decade back, people will go and physically file the papers actually back to the income tax department. Okay, and then there was ADP operator who will take the input, the form from you, and then he will enter all the data. They modernized it actually and got into a era where now you are actually logging into the portal of internet, and then you are filing all the returns. The next era could be actually all the data is already available, perhaps with the income tax side, and then only you are filling in the additional inputs, whatever is not there on their portal, as you as a consumer. So essentially, if you look at from the business productivity angle, as well as from the automation piece of perspective, this application modernization, improvement is something which is happening on a regular basis. And these are the things which will keep coming back to you as a consumer or as an individual, that yes, you are able to safeguard or save your time to go to income tax office, and you're earlier doing all those things. Now you can do it everything over a portal or in a few minutes kind of a time frame.
Right.
These are some of the examples which I can give. This is one of the examples. Of course, there are many more, but I just want to restrict right now for our discussion purpose to one of the examples.
All right, absolutely. So, this is one of the key questions that I really want to understand. How is working with an experienced channel partner when it comes to security of application and infrastructure of any enterprise is really helpful? How can businesses really look at that?
See, all said and done, actually, any application which you launch or which you add, including existing ones as well as the new ones, the hygiene today from the digital modernization area or digital transformation area, the hygiene is always cyber, come what may. The hygiene also means, in case if number of users go up or if the demand goes up, a number of hits on the application go up, are you able to still make the application available? So these are some of the hygiene factors. And I think, so as I said earlier, every application modernization piece of it brings in a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges, both. So that you have to relook at the entire infrastructure, you have to relook at the entire environment, and then ensure that all the building blocks which basically ensure that the application is safe and live is equally important. So I can say, okay, earlier there was DDoS attacks. Now you have data solutions. You have the cybersecurity solutions which is safeguarding actually your applications, both from the containerization perspective for the application which is running on a virtual machine or virtual installed. You have to ensure that they safeguard it. So I think all those infrastructure modernization or infrastructure changes as part of the application modernization, that's where the opportunity and challenges both lie. So from the buyer perspective, he has to look at those challenges and accordingly he has to act. Whereas from the supplier of the technology or the solutions piece of it, from our business community perspective, I see it as a both challenge and the opportunity.
Right, absolutely. So, this is the last question for the session. What is iValue Infosolutions messaging for the channel partners who are offering app modernization services today? And, how can really iValue assist and enable these partners in offering, best in class app modernization services? What is your role?
So I think we bring actually the technology providers actually as the intermediary between technology providers as well as the partners, and partners of course are delivering those solutions back to the end customers. So application modernization essentially is that if you really look at the entire application lifecycle management, you have various building blocks in that, and most of this building right from the coding all the way to the security of the application, hosting the application, then ensuring that the hosting goes in a very secured way. If you look at even from the application add moves changes, both from data center infrastructure perspective, which is now slowly coming to the cloud side as well, and back and forth. So we can look at all those building blocks, and most important thing is when you look at, I call a term called PaaS, which is essentially performance perspective, the application availability perspective, application security perspective, and most important is application scalability perspective. So if you look at these four parameters, that's where actually we bring a lot of solutions from the technology providers, and that basically ensures that once the application is launched, how does it perform? How does it? It always should remain available. It should be secured, and most importantly, it should be scalable. I think these are the building blocks which you bring on the table with the help of the technology providers, and these are the solutions which can be picked up by the channel partners, and then they can deliver it actually for their customers. So the entire end-to-end life cycle, we look at from our perspective.
Right. So it's exactly the breadth of solutions that you offer that will really help and enable the partners. All right. Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I'm saying both width and the breadth, because at the end of the day, width is important, breadth is important, because as you go deeper and wider across the solution piece of it, you have to ensure that these four parameters, which is performance, availability, security, and scalability, is important aspects, irrespective of the application is running on the cloud or on your data center.
Absolutely. Right. That's the key today. Thank you so much, Mr. Shitole, on that note, for speaking to Digital Tech Media yet again. And we really enjoyed this session. So you have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good day.